So let us take a look at the journey that we've had so far. What we've discovered is that really one of the first steps towards creating positive change in your life is that you have to have a healthy level of dissatisfaction with your current situation. If you're not dissatisfied enough, chances are you will not take the actions required to create the change. Then from the dissatisfaction leads us to having a goal of what we do want. So we might not be satisfied with where we currently are, but we need to be clear on where we're going, what is the goal that we want, as well as we need to have that belief and the willingness to do what it takes. Then in the last lesson, we also learned that all of this also needs to be coupled with a burning desire for the achievement. So all of these are really necessary to get us moving, to get that intrinsic motivation going. But then we move to the next variable, the AP of the formula. And the AP simply stands for action plan. So what is the plan of action? Because we can be all excited and we can be ready to go, but if we do not know how to take at least the first step towards the achievement of that change we want or the goal we want, then once again we are going to find ourselves stuck, and before we know it, the resistance will take over. A little bit of good news about the action plan in this formula is that we do not have to know the whole process. We do not have to know the whole action plan. All we really have to know is what is the first step towards this change that we are looking for. Often when we take the first step, then we see only once we've taken that step what the next step is, and then the next step, and so forth. Now, how do we go about creating an action plan? One good way to do it is maybe to go and find people who have done it before and see if you could follow their path. We'll talk about that now, and it's one of our faculties. But if you cannot find that, then you really need to start digging a little deeper. Then you need to start going into your mind. I remember seeing a play in the 20th century, many years ago, where the character in the play stood up and said, "The only thing that makes a man is his mind." He says, everything else we see in a man you can find on a horse or a pig. And that's really true. It's only our mind that separates us and that gives us the ability to unleash the genie within us. And what I was taught is that when you think about the mind, there are 6 mental faculties that help us to think. And using these 6 faculties in certain combinations, we can come up with any action plan. And that's great, because that's really the genius. The genie is already within you. The way to overcome your obstacles, the way to create the change, the action plan is already within you. But oftentimes we do not know how to access and properly use these mental faculties. In this specific micro degree, we won't be going into too much detail, but I would like to introduce you to what these 6 mental faculties are. You are probably already aware of them, probably already using them, but are you aware of the power within you to start developing these faculties to a much higher level? The very first faculty is the faculty of perception. Perception is the way we look at things. We live in a universe with many universal laws, and universal laws are laws that apply to everybody. Universally, doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your skin color, doesn't matter where you live, like gravity. Gravity works for everybody universally the same. It doesn't play favorites. Well, another one of the universal laws is the law of polarity. And the law of polarity states that everything has an equal opposite. You cannot create the one without creating the other at the same time. So you cannot have an up without having a down. You cannot have a hot without understanding what cold is. If you create the inside of a room, at the same time you're creating the outside of the room. So everything has its polarity. And did you know that in the same way, whenever something happens, its total polar opposite is created. So whenever something good happens in your life, at the same time, the shadow side of that, something negative is there. And I believe what really grows, it's almost like a seed. A seed of something good and a seed of something negative. And what tends to grow is what we focus on. If we have a situation and immediately focus on what's good about the situation, that will grow and it will become evident. But how often do we have a situation and immediately we decide it's bad and negative, and that is what ends up growing. So our perception is the ability to see things from different points of view. As the late Dr. Wayne Dyer once said, he said, when you change the way you look at things, then the things you look at begin to change. Change the way you look at your current situation. And that is one of the muscles. Faculties, I actually call them muscles as well, because they can be developed just like any muscle in your body. This is one of the muscles that you can learn to develop, is the ability to see things from different points of view. The second faculty we can discuss is the faculty of will. So here I'm not talking about willpower. Here I'm talking about the ability to stay focused despite anything else going on. And sometimes this is really a difficult thing to do. When you have a goal in mind, when you have something in your mind that you wish to achieve, and it seems that everything around you is falling apart, everything around you is working out the opposite to what you believe, you need to be able to have the ability to still stay focused on the goal, regardless of what is happening around you. There's a great movie about Usain Bolt that was made, and it's on Netflix, where it shows how difficult it was for him, the final Olympic Games he was attending, and all the obstacles he had to overcome. And what I admired most about him in that was this: he had this pure determination and this will and focus that he would not take off of his goal. And then the next faculty is the faculty of imagination. What a powerful, wonderful faculty. Einstein once said, imagination is more powerful than knowledge. You see, knowledge will only take us so far, but imagination is needed when we're in a situation where we cannot currently see the evidence of what we are creating. We need imagination. Everything in life is created twice. This whatever device you're using to watch this through was first an image in someone's mind. The chair you're sitting on, the desk you're using, the building you're in, everything was first created on what I call the spiritual the spiritual plane. And on the spiritual plane is where we need to connect via our imagination. And as I shared with you in the last lesson, from that plane we bring it into the physical plane. But in order to do that, we need to use this faculty of imagination. And then our next faculty is the faculty of intuition. What a wonderful, powerful faculty. That is available to all of us, but we sometimes forget to use it. Dr. Wayne Dyer also once again said that when we pray, we are speaking to God. But when we listen and use our intuition, we're listening to God speak to us. And it's almost like this God within you, this voice that you just know. And you can't explain it to everybody. It's just something that tells you what you need to do. On the scientific level, there's a very good reason why this voice is there, and there's a very good reason why we should be listening to it. But for now, just realize that you have this faculty available to you, and that perhaps we should be using it more than what we currently are. Then the second last faculty is the faculty of memory. How often do people say, I have a bad memory? But the truth is, nobody has a bad memory. It's just that some people have learned how to develop the faculty of their memory, where others have not really put much work into it. Like any other muscle, again, it is a muscle that can be developed. When it comes to achieving your goals, when it comes to creating the change and an action plan, you don't solely have to rely on your own memory. You can rely on the memory of others. This is where you will do research. When it comes to creating wealth, when it comes to creating a new level in your business, as an example, why not use the memory of Roger James Hamilton and others who are so giving in this GeniusU community? Use their memory, use their experience, and learn from that. And if you are able to do that, if you are able to access your own memory and the memory of others, it will go a long way towards creating the perfect action plan for you. And then finally, the last faculty is one that we use very poorly. It is the faculty of reasoning. And why do I say we use it very poorly is because we reason so poorly because we never take all the facts into consideration. So for me, it would be the equivalent of looking at a dog and saying, you know what, a dog has hair, I also have hair, therefore I must be a dog. Can you see how faulty that reasoning is? The truth is that there's a lot more to being a dog than just the fact that a dog has hair. But how often don't we do that in our lives? We take a look at one situation, one mistake we made, and we believe that defines who we are. And we don't realize that there's just so much more to it than that. So I invite you to really go and consider these 6 mental faculties and ask yourself, how can I use this to create my action plan for the change that I wish to create? And where is your action plan at the moment? Maybe you have a foolproof action plan. If you're part of GeniusU and you're following some of the micro degrees that already exist, there are wonderful action plans right there given to us. But you might be in a situation where you're not clear on what the action plan or even the first step for you is. So go and rate yourself on this page on action plan, from 1 being, I have no idea what even the first step is, no idea what action plan I can use to create this change, up until 10 being, I have a foolproof action plan. It would be like, for example, wanting to lose weight, saying I have a perfectly laid out diet, exercise plan, I just need to take action. So rate yourself again from 1 to 10, and when you are done, we will move over to the lesson of the final variable, which might just be the most important variable of all. Thank you.